This is the meeting after the meeting. None of our participants get paid, and we don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. Enjoy the show.
Got a little 80s vibe.
I'm telling you, this might be the one for me. The favorite.
I feel like I'm in an episode of Stranger Things.
Nope. There were a bunch of songs with that, that vibe on the website, but this is not one of them.
Really?
Yeah, and I kind of resent that. You said that, but it's all good.
But was that the feel you were going for?
No, it's not.
Gabe told me earlier, he's like, man, I'm really bummed you're not a sneaker guy, man. You should be a sneaker guy. And I was like, I'm not a sneaker guy. I just never have been a sneaker guy.
Like a hype beast sneaker guy?
He has the means.
Gabe was like,
the problem.
why are you not a sneaker guy? Like, I buy the same pair of shoes over and over again.
I mean, it's a,
You're not a sneaker guy, Chris.
No, I mean, I wear them.
Yeah, but
I'm not a collector, though.
No.
I mean, I think there's a collecting, like if you're like a collector, you can get into that. So
this is true. Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
This is the meeting after the meeting. I'm John.
I'm Chris.
Welcome to the show. This is episode number 14. Can't believe it. We are almost 3/4 of the way through season 1.
People are still listening.
People are still listening. We want to welcome.
Shockingly.
They are. We're getting a lot of downloads every week.
are.
Thank you, everybody. We also want to thank our Zoom watchers who are here live with us. We're super glad that you.
It's nice to have an
joined
audience.
us. It
is.
really, you don't know, it helps us out a lot.
Yeah.
We know that most people listen on their podcast platform, but for those of you who join us live, we really love it. It means a lot to us, and we put effort into it.
Yeah, we're trying to make it a good show.
To make it a good show. You may notice if you're on the Zoom tonight that it's a little bit different.
Yeah, we switched to like a regular, went from a webinar to a regular Zoom.
Which, I don't know, it's a different experience. I think the webinar, you only looked at what we were showing on
That's
our
right.
screen, but now
we controlled it.
You can look at other people's cameras. You don't have to have it just on the.
Yeah, you can be weird and stalk people online.
You can pin whoever you want. Yeah. So, I mean,
We hope you pin our show.
Yeah. Pin the show if you
Put
want.
it in speaker mode.
You can put it in speaker mode or pin the show. That way we are up there.
For some reason, we decided to give people the option.
But we know our audience. Mostly they'll just pin themselves.
Yeah, and we've done that. We've done that to ourselves.
That's how alcoholics are. Why don't we introduce Gabe, our producer? Gabe, what's up?
What's up,
Hey
Gabe?
guys, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. How's it going?
Going all right.
How's the week been?
The week's been 50-50. I feel like it's been uneventful.
How are my chips that you ate? They were good?
Really good. Yeah, when you said you didn't want them,
the worst part was that Gabe ate your chips but left the thing of queso.
Which is...
I don't like the Chipotle queso, bro.
You don't like queso?
Not really.
It's like un-American.
So every week...
Yeah, exactly, bro.
Who doesn't
exactly.
like queso?
Every week we order Chipotle, and Chris doesn't get really a meal. He just gets chips and queso. And Gabe was like, called Chris, or they were on the phone before Chris got here. He was like, can I eat your chips? And he just grabbed the chips without the queso. I was like, what are you doing? Just eating plain tortilla chips?
I would have taken guac, but...
Yeah.
It's the same kind of people that eat peanut butter sandwiches.
Whoa.
I eat almond butter sandwiches.
I eat peanut butter sandwiches. What's wrong with peanut butter sandwiches?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It just would be better with jelly.
You know what would be really better
of course.
Chris, will you now drink the queso without eating the chips?
No, that's weird.
No?
That's like a very fifth
Drinking a glass of milk.
That was a very fifth grader question.
I don't know. I was thinking it would be good on the air thing if Gabe went and got the queso.
That would be great. I would actually enjoy that.
It's probably like it's like cooled off and like congealed.
Yeah, it is gonna be.
You have to warm it up a little bit.
All right, let's get into
our guest is already regretting.
Yeah,
she's regretting her decision.
Like, who are these guys? What are they talking about?
Fucking idiots.
We are excited to have our guest. She's been a great member of A and a friend of ours for a long time. So why don't we introduce? We're going to find out where she lives. Let's introduce Beth K to the show.
From somewhere.
From somewhere.
Yes.
Gaithersburg, I guess.
Gaithersburg. I put
Gaithersburg, there you
Rockville on the outline here, and I was like, that's probably not right. I think they moved to.
We did.
Yeah, they moved
further out.
We want to thank her husband, Travis. He's also joined us here. He's in studio, Travis.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
He drove me. He was my
Yeah.
my driver.
I like that. You're worthy of a driver, Beth. It's nice to have that. You know?
100%. 100%.
Beth, how has your week been?
My week has been good. Actually, today is kind of like my Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I work Monday, I'm off Tuesday, and then I start again Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
3 10-hour shifts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So-
well, that's good. So you get 4 days off a week.
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 10s.
4 10s. Okay. So 4 10s.
4
3
10s,
days off.
3 days off.
That's better than 2 days off, I guess.
It's definitely better than 2 days, yeah. I cleaned yesterday, and my 17-year-old came home and promptly destroyed everything I just did. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, today's Monday. Tomorrow is Friday. Oh, wait. Yeah, Friday Eve, right? Yeah.
There you go.
And then Friday.
And
Yeah,
you get 3.
it's been
I
a
like
good
that.
week.
That's good. That's good.
good.
Well, we're really
But
glad.
those are long days, though. Whew.
It's long days.
Those are long days, 10-hour days.
Yeah. Better than 12-hour shifts.
And you're not like sitting down like in front of a computer chilling for 10 hours.
Actually, I am now.
You are.
I am now.
Hey,
yeah.
that's not that
It only
bad.
took 20 years, but
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Yeah, no, it's
That's
not
good.
that bad. Yeah.
Good.
It works. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well,
I was thinking
thanks
I
for
work 3 4s.
3 4. That's the best.
That's what I basically
not bad.
work.
That's what I
essentially.
want to work. Yeah.
You can't
3
complain.
4s.
3 4s.
That's wild. All right.
Travis is upset. He's getting
No.
a couple shades of redder.
Well, let's get into what we like to call the stats, some of just your basic information. If you wouldn't mind telling us your sobriety date, sponsor, and home group.
Okay. So my sobriety date is December 2nd, 1989. And that music was, I believe, from 80s music movies.
Hey.
Yeah, I think so.
She got
That doesn't
sober,
mean it's
man.
Stranger
Oh, it
Things,
had an
bro.
80s
That
vibe.
didn't mean it's Stranger
Definitely.
Things.
I'm just saying it gave me the vibe.
And on the Instagram,
Okay.
on the Insta post that we did announcing you, we had a little 80s vibe going too.
Definitely. Yeah, I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like, what was that one with vampires? You all are probably too young.
Oh, wait. A movie with
A
vampires?
movie with Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
Yes,
Lost-
yes.
Oh, there we go.
Classic.
Another historian.
Yeah.
Lost Boys is classic.
Classic. Yes. Terrible. It does not hold up well, but
No.
Did you try to watch it again?
oh yeah, we've tried it. Terrible.
Tried to
Didn't make it
bring
through.
back the nostalgia of the olden.
It was bad. So December 2nd, 1989, I have a sponsor. Her name is Beth. And I have a home group. It's the Haven Group.
Beth, but not you.
Not me.
You are not your
Well,
own sponsor.
Most days. Some days. Some days
that.
it's questionable.
That's actually funny having a
come up.
sponsor with the same name because people are like, who's your sponsor? You say Beth, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's a good one.
It's always
luck.
strange leaving a message too. Hey Beth, it's Beth.
It's Beth. Hey, Beth calling. Hope Beth is.
Yeah, and she sponsors like 3 other Beths. So
Really?
it's- Yeah,
That's interesting.
it is. I've never met another Beth till, maybe 5 years ago.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
That's wow. Okay.
So it works.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, have you ever sponsored another Chris?
No, actually. I mean, there's so
Out of
many
all the
Chris's,
people
though.
you sponsor, you
I
never
have not-
sponsored another Chris?
I don't think I have, no.
Man, I think
Wow.
I probably sponsor another John at some point, but well,
I mean, John is my real name.
oh, that's right.
John
I
Christopher.
forgot about that.
Wait, what?
John is his name.
It's my legal name.
Yeah, Chris is his middle name.
You're joking? Why?
Yeah.
John Chris?
Yeah.
John Christopher Hoover. Yeah, that's
yeah,
my name.
Yeah. So
But why don't you go by John?
I've always gone by Chris. My dad's name was John, and my mom didn't want me to be like a junior or, give me a nickname like Jack.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she just called me Chris, and that's the way it's always been, unless I've been incarcerated, and then I was
Okay.
John Hoover, which is why Ray only knows me as John Hoover.
Ray being a person who's been around AA for a long time, who was
Yep.
locked up with you.
Locked up.
Yeah.
Great. So I don't know you at all. All right, great. Continue.
Good friend. Good friend.
I'm the same. Name's a little different.
It's fine. It's good.
Beth, why don't we get into the 3 W's here and you just tell us a little bit about your story?
little bit about my story. We were talking on the way over here about Travis's acid trips. And I don't know why that started me thinking. That was the beginning of my using, really. It was not, I mean, I started with like Vibrant and butane, which, okay. I don't hear many people talking about that anymore, but we used to huff butane and take boxes of Vibrant, and then I went into stealing Mad Dog, which was one of my favorite drinks.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too. Thank you.
No, we know
the
some
first
guys
person who mentioned Mad
did
Dog.
some serious huffing. Didn't
We have some friends
Tim
who've
do
done some huffing.
Glade, or what was it? Or the stuff that cleans keyboards.
We've known a lot of people.
Dust
who have
off.
done,
Dust off, yeah.
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 It's like the new butane.
Yeah.
But thanks for mentioning Mad Dog. It's never been mentioned, I think, on the show before, and I was such a fan.
It has.
Good.
It was. Was it mentioned before?
It has. I'm pretty sure.
To say it was good
Is relative. Yeah. It
I
got
enjoyed
the
it.
job.
I enjoyed it too.
I enjoyed it.
But if you had a choice,
Well,
it's what you could
Well, of
steal.
course.
exactly.
Yeah.
It
What
was.
you could afford.
It was exactly what you could steal.
Yeah, what you could steal.
Yeah.
It was flat.
Flat. Very
Back
easy
pocket.
to steal. But I don't think it was so hard to steal back in the 80s either,
Just in general.
in general.
You could.
You could probably get away with just a case. Just walk
Easily.
out with a case.
We would go in to 7-Eleven with a case of Diet Coke
Yeah.
and switch it with a Budweiser case, and they did not look twice.
That's interesting.
It
You
was
would
very
walk
easy.
in
That's
with a
a
case
nice-
of Diet Coke.
Yes. And say,
Just
we
to be
want
like,
cold
this
Diet
is
Coke.
ours. We're
Yeah.
just going to, can we, that's interesting.
Yeah. You could buy cigarettes too, though.
Yeah.
Without an ID.
Well, the cigarettes used to be on the counter right there, like
They
right
did.
by where you would just like.
There was
The
no
vending
age.
machine.
It was like the candy.
There was no
Yes.
age.
What the candy was now.
They were
like
with the
Tic Tacs.
can on the front thing, and the guy would turn around to get something, and you just be like,
I don't remember that. I
yeah.
feel like I'm older than you.
"You're going to the wrong 7-Eleven."
Pizza Hut, they had them everywhere.
Yes,
Pizza Hut, dude.
Yeah, Shakey's. They were everywhere. Yeah. So my drinking started like that. My using started like that.
So you went from butane to PCP.
Pretty much
That's like a. That's like a.
a big step.
Good jump. I like that.
Yeah.
She wasn't messing
mi-
around. She was like, "This is good, but what's stronger?"
Talking about
I mean,
diving,
more.
diving in head first. You know.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Well, I was like a good kid. And then I met people that were doing fun stuff that weren't so good.
Right.
And yeah, they were running away. They had connections. They had PCP. They had bathtubs full of grain alcohol. I mean, you could really have whatever you wanted. And it was, off to the races.
More exciting than what you were doing.
Definitely more exciting. Yeah. I mean, I was 13 years old running away, and I mean, I was having the time of my life. When I think about it now, it's not so cool. When you think about, I mean, you have kids, you know, not so cool to think about. But at the time, I mean, I was having a blast. That was like the beginning of it. It was fun.
Yeah.
And for me, like, it wasn't like I was running away from something. And I know a lot of people are. I was just looking for fun. I was looking for excitement, you know, and wherever that was, that's the direction I was going.
Absolutely. But I had to make up stories of why I was running away.
Right.
So it was like my dad's fault that I was
Right.
running away. I would make up little
Yeah.
things.
Right.
Yeah. To blame
get
it
out.
on them.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But there was really no reason. I had a good home.
Right.
There was nothing to run from.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you start doing this when you're 13, and how quickly did your life kind of just blow up?
I feel like, you know,
I mean, she went from butane to PCP.
to PCP.
Probably didn't
yes.
take long.
No, it didn't. It's like that line that you cross. It was very quick for me. It was from, I think my first somewhat normal drink was probably 2 shots of whiskey. And after that, it was drinking purely for effect.
Yeah.
So I crossed over a line pretty quickly.
How was school at this point?
I went
Non-existent?
non-existent. Yeah. I mean, I started to skip school in 8th grade, and then by 9th grade, I started my institution run. So I went to school in institutions.
Yeah.
Which was really easy. They basically gave you,
You just had to show up. Just get out of
Exactly.
bed and yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many institutions do you think you went to? Do you know?
I want to say about 7.
7
probably.
institutions.
Pretty much every 6 months. So it would be, I finally got picked up by the cops. They took me to less secure And from there went to Dominion Hospital, which I spoke at not too long ago, and it still smells exactly the same from 33 years ago. But you walk in and you feel like...
What does it smell like?
I can't even describe it, but if you've been in one...
It smells like bleach and BO
yes.
at the same time.
It's not jail, Chris. This is 7 bucks.
I'm telling you, they use the same supplier for their cleaning products, I can assure you.
I think so. I
so
think so.
Across the board.
Yeah. And it has
Travis will
this
concur.
smell.
He knows that smell.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So, it still has the same smell. But anyways, so that was my introduction to these institutions where they start, telling you there's probably something wrong with the way that you're drinking. But, I was 13 years old. There was a lot of other stuff you could blame it on. And at that time, kids are doing messed up things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think. Maybe they're not. I don't know. What do kids
late
do
age?
at 13? Yeah.
There were so many. That was like the advent of rehabs.
Yeah.
Maybe
They were
smoking
just
cigarettes.
They were
I don't
just
know.
shoveling you guys in.
Yeah.
And getting insurance to pay for it.
I don't know. Like when I tell people at work, like if just a little bit comes
tell
out,
people?
well, I don't tell them much, but if I say a little bit, they're like, you were drinking at 13. So maybe it's not normal. I don't know. But
I don't think it's normal.
It's
not normal. For you
for
all,
our, for
yeah.
me, for a kind of people like us, but
For alcoholics.
for alcoholics, yeah.
I always think about that. I just, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but there wasn't really any point, especially when I got into high school, where I was thinking about my future. Like a lot of kids were like, I got to prep for the SATs. I got to think about what college I'm going to go to. Those things just didn't cross my mind.
Ever.
Like never, ever. And I thought I was a smart person when I got sober too. I was like, I'm smart. And I was like, I wasn't even thinking about my future.
Yeah. I wasn't smart. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel like that at all. But I had thinking of a future. No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like if we were talking about this on the way here. If somebody said you can't do something, I was going to do it, and I always did it the hard way.
Yeah.
So school wasn't a priority. Going to college wasn't. It would work out.
Yeah.
Fun and feeling good was trumped all priorities.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No matter how old I was, because I didn't really start drinking until I was 17, so I was already out of my parents' house by then, but it didn't matter. I still wasn't thinking about a future.
Right.
It was just day by day. What am I going to do to have fun and to live it up? And like today's the only day that I'm going to have left on this planet. That's how I lived.
Yeah. The YOLO mentality before YOLO was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't. Before it was
nobody even knew about YOLO.
There was no coined term for it.
And we were just, and at the expense of whoever, right?
Yeah,
didn't matter. I didn't care if I ruined relationships with you. I didn't care if I hurt my family. It didn't matter if I stole from you.
Didn't matter.
I didn't even think about it.
No, yeah. No thought.
No.
It's not like, and that's what I'm saying. It's not like there was no malice behind it. And I say this all the time. It's not like I did it. There was just no thought at all. Like I didn't think about it at all. So it's not like I was like, oh, I'm hurting my mom. Oh, fuck it. I'm going to do it anyway. There was no thought of anyone else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At all.
Yeah.
So
the party's going. Where'd you say you started to see some consequences, like real consequences from this? Was there a point where maybe you even started to think, man, something's got to change here, or I got to at least figure this out?
Honestly, every 6 months,
Yeah.
it would get I would go into one of these places, I would get it together, and I would come out and I would have it's going to be okay. It's going to be good. And then it would start up again. And then I'd end up right back in that same place. I probably around 16, 10th grade is probably when it really started to get bad, where I was blacking out a lot. Most of my friends wanted nothing to do with me. It started to get really bad. And that's when I started to ask to go to treatments.
Yeah.
So, and I would go willingly to AA meetings. I kind of, by that point, I knew there's certainly something wrong with the way that I drink. But alcoholic, I guess I would say I'm an alcoholic, but I wouldn't have said it in the terms that we use it today at all. It would have more been like, I can drink a lot, and I thought still function. I love drinking and driving. I thought it was the most fun thing in the world.
Me too.
It was before all the dare and all that stuff.
lucky.
Yeah, right. We paved the way for you all.
Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah,
Now people are doing time, like hard time for DUIs.
yeah.
And it is. They're not messing around.
Yeah.
And when they're drunk now is not really that drunk.
Yeah. It's just
Like,
a little,
it's
little buzz
barely.
going,
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that.
It's sad.
So you're drinking and driving. You're sick. So you said you started going to AA at this point at the age of 16. I went, when I was young as well. What do you think? What was your perception of AA at that time, if any?
My perception was kind of lame,
Yeah.
sad life. I felt sorry for the people. I would go to the meetings and I would leave thinking, God, those poor people.
Yeah. So you didn't necessarily relate to
Not
what was
really.
being
Does
said.
anyone though? I mean, I feel like what she just said is exactly how I felt.
Well, you always say, Chris, that you thought that AA was for quitters.
I mean,
Kind
I
of.
still kind of feel that way.
They couldn't, I believe this is the term used, people who couldn't hack it in the drinking game.
That's exactly what I say. I didn't know that. It's weird.
Because I remember you saying, I remember thinking, you know why? Because it stuck
It
out
resonated.
so. No. It didn't resonate. It was because you were standing in an AA meeting, not able to hack it in the drinking game using it. It was just an interesting.
I understand, but just like Beth said, we're delusional.
No,
I mean,
yes.
that's how I felt.
No, I know.
I didn't understand that I had alcoholism.
Right. And I viewed them kind of like as good people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
too good. I didn't feel like I fit in with that.
Kind of felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's how I felt too, like a little bit like guilty. Like I don't need to feel any worse. Like, I know I'm messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would go to meetings. I even got a sponsor once. I never called her, but
Why did you get a sponsor?
I have no idea. It seemed like
Shocker.
maybe I heard it one time. You get
In
a
name
sponsor.
only.
Yeah. To get people to stop asking.
Stop
you.
asking.
Yeah.
That's a good reason.
Yeah.
Good enough.
And they would have like that. Yeah, I remember going to this one meeting. It was outside a women's meeting, and they would talk to me with such hope. And it was like, I'm thinking, yeah. No,
Like I can't wait to get out of here and go get messed
drink,
up.
yeah.
Smoke some more PCP.
Yeah.
yeah.
So at this point, you're 16. What would you say was your kind of jumping off place or the spot where you were like, I need help, I'm done?
It was probably between right when I turned 18. And the thing that really did, I had been in and out of these institutions. I'd been to AA. I had sobered up for a period of time. I think the longest time was probably 32 days, like rehab, and then a couple days afterwards.
Which is an eternity when you're
right
back
when
then,
you're.
yeah.
But what started to happen for me is, well, one, I wasn't getting invited to go out with people. I was an embarrassment. People didn't want me around. I was kind of the gross girl that nobody wanted to touch at this point. And like I'm friends with somebody from high school, and she was posting pictures from junior, senior year, and I was in none of these pictures, none of them. And I'm like, where was I? But certainly not there.
Passed out in the
You were
bushes.
you were in the basement, like getting high with a few other. I was like, right.
So, it started to get to a point where it was really lonely, really, really lonely. And I could not stand the way that I felt anymore. And I don't know that sobriety is what I wanted, but I wanted I wanted the consequences to stop. I didn't want to go out and drink and get so messed up that I was causing all these problems and waking up the next day wondering what I did. I was sick of that happening, but the thought of not drinking was kind of unbearable. Like I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine the life I have today. That would have been like out of the question.
Yeah. Not
even attractive really at that time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have wanted it.
No, there's no way. Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, in a lot of ways, your generation that got sober young, you guys paved the way for a lot of the other young people that came in to AA behind you. And I tell people all the time, these young guys and girls coming into AA, I say, you don't know how good you have it. I mean, you can go to any meeting. I mean, there's 20 meetings in this area you could go to and see 50 young people, and people are going out to the diner. There's floats, there's dances. I mean, you could just throw a rock and hit a meeting that's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
And but for you, that wasn't. It wasn't. The scene was not like that.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
In like the late 80s.
Right. I mean, the last time I went to rehab, well, I should say the second time I went to Arlington Hospital for drugs and alcohol was when I was 16. That was the first time. And the young people's group was huge. The second time I went, it was very small because this was like the end of the 80s and rehabs are going away. And it's still, somebody gave me their phone number and I don't know why I called this person, but I ended up calling and I guess I was just desperate enough. Actually, what it was the guy that I had been dating most of my high school wanted nothing to do with me anymore. So it was kind of, every time I was kind of able to talk him back into my life. And at this point, he wanted nothing to do with me, which thank God. And the people that I was drinking with wanted nothing to do with me. So I was bored. I called this girl. We went to a meeting and I had like a really fun time with her. And it wasn't what I had pictured, like this lame, good people. Like they were messed up. We were really, my early sobriety, we did a lot of messed up stuff that we probably would have done when we were drinking. It probably wouldn't be like good, sober behavior, but it got me interested and it kept me coming around.
I mean, we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
For sure.
But you started relating though in the meetings.
Started to relate. A lot of it was parking lot sobriety.
Yeah.
We would do Midtown at the time was on 22nd and P. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that hill. Do you remember the hill?
Yep.
You could set up lawn chairs and look in the windows. So we would sit there and look at people in the meetings.
So early sobriety for you was kind of hanging on the
Around.
outside.
on the
of the
outside,
meeting.
but we would do
Quite
stuff
literally.
like this where but you're talking, like people are talking outside the meeting and people aren't drinking.
It's better than being in a basement smoking PCP.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not sobriety per se.
No.
But it's you're moving closer.
You're moving closer. Yeah.
So where would you say you kind of started to really invest in the program Alcoholics Anonymous?
I want to say I had a couple of, I've heard the speaker talk about the surrenders in AA where you like come in and you're kind of desperate and you surrender and then you throw the towel in and then you grab the towel back and you spend the rest of your life pretty much throwing in pieces of that towel.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
That is a
Clancy. That's a
Clancy.
Yes. And I got to say, like when I was new in the beginning, so it was kind of parking lot. And then we started to get competitive. People would get sponsors. So everybody was like, we're going to do step work. We're going to call our sponsors. So we started to get competitive with that. And so I started to get interested. And then I would get a boyfriend and then that would kind of go away. And then I want to say around three years of kind of up and down with having a sponsor, not having a sponsor, reading the literature, not. I went crazy, absolutely insane in sobriety where I was like, what in the hell? Like my job fired me. The guy I was dating broke up with me. My sponsor fired me. The whole group went through this big like split up. We went from like 200 people to about 15 people. And my sponsor at the time moved in with us. Her husband had an affair and everyone, anyways, we brought our furniture over to our house and then people came and stole the furniture out of our house and it was just this big thing. So I decided I was gonna leave and move to Florida. It seemed like it seemed like the solution too.
Oh, Florida.
Yes.
Good old
I don't know
Florida.
what happens in Florida. It's not right though. Something happens in Florida. It does. It's where all the like 1-900. Is it 1-900?
I don't know.
What is it?
But I don't know why everyone goes there. It's almost like the sirens. The sirens live over there. They're drawing people.
I'm just saying, because we've had a lot of guests on our show that have moved to Florida looking for something, but then moved back.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's Florida. It's just Florida. It's nice in Florida. So you're thinking.
That's what I think it
think
is.
it's gonna be.
That's
It's
what I
nice
think.
down
It'd be
there. Yeah,
so-
I think it could be
like nobody
anywhere.
moves to Maine.
No, it's Florida because the weather's nice and people. Yeah. Where are you moving? I'm moving to Minnesota.
Moving to New Hampshire,
Yeah, you know, it's always Florida, California,
Alaska,
Now we've got some Texas.
Texas.
moving to
Yeah,
Texas.
Yeah, just another one.
You know,
Yeah.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but thank God for that because I did get a sponsor down there who was very into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I had never really been.
Yeah.
And she started taking me through that. And I think that's really where I started to understand that I needed this.
Yeah.
It wasn't just kind of like I could come to the meetings and hang out and put on a nice outfit, spend hours getting ready and and be okay. Like I was starting to lose my mind. And if I didn't do something, I was getting to the point where it's like suicide was starting to look like a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, someone said to me early on, I don't know, it could have been Mike, it's not always jails, institutions, and death. Alcoholism will settle for permanent insanity.
It will.
And I think you have to hit those roadblocks in sobriety, sober, because then you realize, oh my God, it's not the alcohol.
Yeah.
There's something wrong, really wrong with me.
Really wrong.
And I need whatever is going on here in AA, I need to tap into that because I will be drinking in no time because I need an answer to what's wrong with me. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've said many times, like if my sobriety, now obviously you have to drink and to know that you're
Sure.
an alcoholic, but if my sobriety doesn't convince, or if my drinking doesn't convince me, if I look at my sobriety not doing AA, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And
The
people always
bedevilments.
say, yes, like they say, you know, go to the closest bar room, try some controlled drinking. You don't have to do that.
No.
You can not do AA and try not to drink and see what happens to you.
miserable.
And it's terrible.
Yeah. And that's the other suggestion. Or just try not to drink for a year and see what happens.
See what
And
happens.
for me, I get some of my worst experiences were not drinking without the solution of AA.
Yeah.
That was some of the worst.
And you
I
can't
felt.
blame it on alcohol anymore
No.
because you were stone cold sober,
Yeah. And some of
behaving
the,
like a jerk.
yes. Some of the most awful things that I've done have been stone cold sober.
Yeah.
And saying a jerk. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started working the program. So why don't we move on to our topic? Because our topic talks a lot about sobriety, and you've been.
It's hard to cover Beth's arc of sobriety.
It's
long.
Well,
It's a
it
lot of
is.
ups
We're
and
gonna-
downs. And
We're going
Some
to
of
talk
these
about it
guests
now.
do multiple parts.
We've got some more time.
An hour isn't enough in some cases.
Our weekly topic this week is this is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime.
Yeah.
Staying active in long-term sobriety. So you've been sober 33, is it 33
33.
years? That's a long time to be sober,
It
you know,
is.
and probably
Sober
a lot.
and active.
yes.
And
That's
active,
different.
which we've known you your entire sobriety, and you've been active since at least since I've known you.
Yes.
So what is it? What does that look like? How has your sobriety changed? I know a lot has happened. You mentioned having kids. What is it like now that you're sober? You've been sober a while. How do you stay active? How do you stay
Yeah.
focused
How do you
on
stay
something for 33 years?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny. Before COVID happened, we had moved to Rockville, and I was looking for different women to talk to. I was trying to find a local sponsor and find people who were involved and still going to meetings. It's really hard to find
Lord.
people with long-term sobriety, but to find women with long-term sobriety is really, really difficult. And there were some times before COVID where I was really questioning what I was going to do because it's not like I can go hang out all the time. I mean, I have to be up early for my job. I have responsibilities. I have
kids.
a husband. I have a kid. I have my kids. All that stuff. So I'm not staying out till midnight.
No watches.
No watches.
Dances.
Right. Yeah. Most of my friends are older. They're not doing that stuff. They have their jobs. So we're not hanging out like we did when we were younger. Friendships look a lot different.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I really had to start, I prayed a lot, and I had to start paying attention to how my stomach felt in meetings, which was difficult because there were a lot of meetings that would make my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
And I was investigating meetings, trying to find people with time, and I would have to pay attention to things that went against what I believed. I went to some meetings where I'd say, well, who sponsors people here? And then, after a certain time, you don't need a sponsor. Things like that. And
That's a red flag.
it's a red flag and just not true. But through that, I've got to say, I found some really great meetings with some very active people who, you see their life, and I know what happens when I stop doing this, and it's not good. My first sponsor used to always say, somebody would celebrate a milestone, and they say, so-and-so had 15 years, and they're dead. And, so every time there was a milestone, he reminded us that the importance of it doesn't matter how much time you have. I have alcoholism. I have it just as bad today as I did when I came in here, maybe even worse, because it's so easy to get complacent the longer that you're here.
Yeah.
And things do get good, and my alcoholism gets sneaky. It's it doesn't say you're not alcoholic. It's more like, you're really tired. You had a long day. You should just stay
it
home.
matures over time.
It does.
The self-talk.
Yes, it does.
It's sneaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it seems like the right thing to do to stay home and get some rest.
It's never, I want to drink.
No.
It doesn't say those words anymore.
It doesn't.
It's a lot different.
It doesn't. And, I've had a lot of friends who are not active anymore. They're still maybe not drinking or kind of around, but it's not attractive. It's not what I want for my life. And, it's like AA is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It brings me joy.
And it doesn't, in that moment when I'm tired or I don't want to do it, that's not what I'm thinking. It's my favorite thing, but it really is. It genuinely,
That's
like
how we
when
feel
I
every
do
week
it,
before this show.
It is, but it just gives me, I never feel closer to my higher power than when I am working with another alcoholic, maybe sitting in an AA meeting, listening to another alcoholic, or talking to my sponsor. I never feel more content and at peace than when I'm doing those things.
Right. My
100%.
sponsor, my sponsor always says, because I have that frequently.
Yeah.
I'll say, I just don't feel like calling people back. I don't feel like doing this. And she's like, well, what else are you going to do? Sit at home and think about what a piece of shit you are? I mean, just do it.
Exactly.
And it's true. Like, I have all this stuff come up in my head and then you just do it.
Or for
It's
some of
like-
us, think about how great we are.
There's the other side
There's
of it.
the other
Chris
side.
and his sponsorship family, they all they're like, we are the greatest thing ever.
It doesn't matter. We all end up in the same place alone.
It's true.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you? What's your experience with this not being an overnight matter and continuing for your lifetime?
Well, I listen a lot to like Beth, and I look at people, and thank God I've been in and around AA where people have had a lot more time than me actually, and been really active in AA, and so I have a ton of role models to look at. And I was just telling somebody, I was talking to a new guy yesterday. I said my sponsor is not a flashy guy. He gives an okay talk. He's not a circuit speaker by any way. I mean, he barely wants to wear a collared shirt, when he speaks, but he's always present. He's always in the AA meeting. He's always around. He's just there. He's like a fixture. And that matters. When you've been if you're coming in and out of AA over the last 25 years, Isaac, because he's in the meeting.
To have some consistency is important.
I've made a lot of mistakes, but what I've done consistently is talk to my sponsor, go to AA meetings, and help new guys. And the going to AA meetings has not been easy because I now have a family. I'm married, So we and my wife have had to work very hard to work out a schedule because we both value going
Your
to
wife
meetings.
is in the program.
Yeah, she's in the program. So we both want to be in meetings and be around people. And you make sacrifices to do that.
Yeah.
So we're on a good schedule right now. We each go 3 times a week, which I think is a lot for us, and I feel very grateful for that. And I don't know how long, that could change, but so far that's what it's been. But you have to want to do that because it's so easy to fall into complacency and make excuses, and it's not like saying I'm going to do something for my kids is a bad excuse. It's just that you're ignoring the fact that you're an alcoholic, and it really doesn't matter how much time you spend with your kids because if you drink, you're going to lose it all anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I really like the word consistency. I think when you think about this, and this is not an overnight matter, it should continue for our lifetime. I think this statement is from the literature. It says a couple things. This is not an overnight matter. Right there, what that tells me and what I think is it's helpful in a number of ways. One, hey, you might not get better right away, right? Like I think that's important, but I think it's important, and I think they put that in there for a reason.
Better.
Like, hey, look, you impatient ass alcoholic MFers, like you want everything right now. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime, and that's the other thing. It should continue for our lifetime. Like we need to continue to do this for the rest of our life.
I feel like it's happening pretty fast for Gabe. He's like 2 years sober. He's got a Tesla.
He's not even 2 years sober yet, is he?
I'm not. I'll have 2 years in July.
Yeah, it's coming up.
I was riding the Metro at 2 years sober.
It's coming
I
up.
actually relapsed right after I got a month, not even a month after I got my car.
Wow.
I relapsed.
Wow, there you go.
Look
that's
at
how
that.
you know.
The gifts of sobriety.
Trying to be
the
like
thing
Elon.
that pull us back out, you know?
Flashy.
But no, so I think that's good. And staying active comes down to consistency.
Yeah. And seeing people in meetings, like when I see you all at meetings, that makes me feel
100%.
comfortable. Yeah. Like I know you all are my people. I know you got what I got. I'm in the right place. Yeah.
I think that we can say this and we'll move on to our newcomer tip of the week that,
We could both be considered old timers now, right?
well, I don't know about that. I think there's a certain time limit.
I mean, it's
I
relative,
think it's
right?
like 20. No, I think it's like 25 years or something. So
What's an old timer?
It's relative,
20.
dude.
20,
It's
is
relative.
it 20? Travis is given the 2.0 to the 2.5. I think it's somewhere around there. Isn't there an old timers meeting around here? Do you know what the minimum is for that?
It used to be 20, but I think they raised it to 25.
They're just raising it with time because
When I was new, it was 20.
it was 20. Now there's so many people with 25. That's a good thing.
That's a good
raising
thing.
They're raising it up.
Raising the bar.
These people are living.
It's like retirement.
Yeah. So, well, I guess this is what I'll say is that Beth, you know, it's nice to have people who have been sober for 30 plus years
really
who are
is.
still coming
Thank
around and
God.
active. You really, it means so much to me just to know that when I go to my home group, I see you there. And if you're still doing this, then that gives me hope that I should still be doing it too.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
your enthusiasm has really been fun to watch.
Well, I think you sharing that too. I see you there every week talking to new girls, and it motivates me too. So let's move on. We're going to talk to some newcomers now. We've got a tip for you. Let's get into our newcomer tip of the week. Oh, she's got a great idea.
She's got a great idea, this
I like
one.
this.
Beth's
Look at her.
probably seen this look a million
Like
times.
that's the look before something bad goes down. Now Beth probably didn't see the look, but she knows that that's
She knows
that
that
look.
look.
Where it's like, oh, wait a minute.
I'm going to skip the meeting
Yeah.
and go hang out with this guy.
So our tip this week for all you newcomers who are out there maybe listening or watching on the Zoom, we're glad you're here with us. It's you don't have to do this alone. A sponsor can help. So many times you meet a newcomer and they're like, "Why do I need a sponsor? What is a sponsor? You're going to give me like some clothes with a logo on it or something? But it's not like a
Money.
It's not like when you were a skateboarder, Chris, right? Your skateboard sponsor.
I got a lot of swag.
Yeah, no, there's
Got
not.
some trips taken care
They
of.
might buy you dinner and pack of cigarettes, you know, but they're not going to get, or maybe if you're
Unless
lucky,
your name is Isaac.
then you're going to buy him dinner.
I think I was 10 years sober before I even rode in his car.
So
I was giving him rides before he ever gave me a ride.
Chris is, for those of you who
I'm
don't
not
know,
resentful or anything
Chris's
about it.
sponsor's name is Isaac, and he didn't drive his car very often. He got a lot of rides.
Got a lot. He still does.
He still does. So, hey, he maximizes opportunity.
The
I'm
resale
not gonna
value
hate.
on those Hondas
Yeah, I'm not going to hate.
going up.
Beth, what do you think? So you don't have to do this alone. A sponsor can help. We're just trying to really give newcomers basic tips that a sponsor is important.
Yeah, my ideas, especially, I mean, still today, my ideas, my brain has this ability to take like the truth, and my brain gets a hold of it and it turns it into something that it's just not. We were talking about this at the meeting last week. So Travis had we were doing laundry or something, and he asked me if I could not leave the clothes in the dryer because his shirt got wrinkled. What I heard was he wanted a divorce. So that's just kind of an example of
That's so good.
that's how my brain processes things. So
Yep.
I need somebody that can just say, that's not it. Like,
Yeah.
this is the truth. Yeah. So that's huge, I think. Just somebody to be able, that you're comfortable telling the truth to, that you don't feel like you have to put up a front, that you can just let it
Yeah.
all out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important. And
It is.
I don't think
Oh, my God.
when we get sober, at least when I got sober, I wasn't telling anybody the truth. So that concept was so foreign, you know, I kind of had to, I guess, practice it a little bit by sharing little by little and going through the steps and in the 4th step and doing a 5th step with somebody. I was like, they're going to hate me after that. They're going to judge me. They're going to tell me I shouldn't be in AA and that I'm not like them. And having that, you know, relating with my sponsor was kind of that first big sign for me. Like, okay,
So uncomfortable too.
So uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh. I also had a good friend who I would tell everything to, and she would tell my sponsor. So if you can't tell your sponsor, yeah. But we knew each other would do it, so it was kind of we were
good to
relied
have
on
that.
that.
Yeah. That's one of those things, like have that friend that you kind of like, you're like, I'm telling you so I can get the courage up to maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
be
you got to
honest.
float it.
honest.
You got to float it by someone first.
Yeah.
Just to feel out the temperature. You know what I mean?
Test the water. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I with new guys, how are you supposed to navigate something you've never done without someone showing you how to do it? I mean, anything you do in life is like that. And the longer I've been sober and the more I've been involved in professionally and, my career, I always ask really successful people, I said, how did you get here? And they always say the same thing. We had mentors or people that we talked to that we could seek counsel with. And it's like, we're the worst. We make the worst decisions ever. We need counsel more than anyone else. And yet we are always like, I'll figure it out.
I got this.
I got this.
I got it.
And we don't. We don't have it. We
No.
don't. Not even today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a safe place for somebody too, so they don't feel like, I'm alcoholic just like they're alcoholic. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm talking down to them. I get it.
Yeah.
So let's say you're new and you're going to your first meeting, or maybe you're going to some meetings, you don't have a sponsor, you're not sure how to get a sponsor. What do you do?
Well, what I did was not what you should do.
What should you do?
What should you do? I think probably anyone in the meeting, if you're brand new, you can, listen to people share and pretty much ask anyone.
Yeah.
I do think it's really important and I had a man sponsor, so I'm not saying this. When I got sober, there were not many women, but I do think it's really important for women to get women and men to get men, for obvious reasons, especially in young people's groups.
Yeah.
But and just for the relating, there's stuff that I'm not going to tell a guy.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
not. And I know, like my sponsor was a man, I knew how to manipulate him. I knew. Like, even if I would say he would call me on my stuff, and he did call me on a lot of my stuff, I still knew there were things I could do.
So how do you ask somebody to be your sponsor?
It's like
awkward.
asking someone out on a date. It's very awkward.
And the first person I asked said no, which was like terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear
Rejection.
that. I hear stories like that. People,
Yeah.
they say, I
Well,
don't have
they do.
time, or I don't have
Exactly.
this, or,
At least like point somebody in the direction if you're not
give
going to
them
do
a
it.
little, Yeah. So,
So-
what do? You just ask. You just ask them. Say, hey, will you be my sponsor?
Yeah.
You can ask anybody who you relate to, preferably somebody who's been sober a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, there's lots of people,
Yeah.
and not to sponsor hop, but at least start working with somebody.
And if you don't like the sponsor you have, you can always get a new one, right?
Yeah.
You can always get a different sponsor.
Yeah, I don't think anybody, and I am a sponsor now. I have a sponsor, and I don't, I just want the best for
Exactly.
whoever is, and if the best for them is having someone else, that's great.
Yeah.
I just want people to stay sober.
I used to take it so personally. I wouldn't talk to people for like a year until I got a new sponsor, and they said to me, I hope you feel like you can call me anytime and that I can call you anytime. I was like, oh, this isn't like, I'm not collecting people here. Like, this is people's lives.
So, yeah.
It takes a while for that ego.
There's no ownership.
No.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's logistics for me. Like I've had 3 sponsors in the short time, but first sponsor was like immediately after rehab on Zoom, and they were like out of the state, so I wasn't going to really see them or anything like that. The guy was awesome. He actually drove down from Delaware to do a 5th step with me. But then the second sponsor, like, we're still tight, but like he just had really young kids, so he couldn't answer my calls at like 9:30 p.m., which is typically when I was like, a little squirrely. So then I got a sponsor right now who also has kids, but he's a degenerate, and he's on this call. He's on the Zoom right now. And he's up late.
He's willing to
Good
take your
guy.
calls.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He's not
yeah,
a
yeah.
degenerate.
Thank you.
No,
Thank
he's
you
a
to
degenerate.
Gabe's.
He's a degenerate. But
We're going
he's
to
also a
thank
good
Gabe's
guy.
sponsor. We're happy that he takes Gabe's calls.
We are happy.
When I do call him, he's gonna give me a hard time.
We don't want to
after this.
sponsor him.
You don't mean that. You'd sponsor me.
I would. I wouldn't like
It'd be fun for this. It would be fun for this show. We'd get some good content out of it.
It might be different. I don't know.
All right. So
No, we're better friends.
So for the newcomers out there listening, just know that you don't have to do this alone, and a sponsor can help. And all you have to do is ask.
Ask.
That's it. Yeah. So with that, let's get into my favorite part of the show. We are going to get into the sketch of the week.
What?
So we've done this one before. I think this is actually the third time we've done it.
Yes.
It's called We Found It Online.
Look how stoked they are.
I searched the internet.
Beth, do you like our little graphics?
I do.
I searched the internet to find weird, cool AA items that you can buy online. Tonight we've got 3 more. I actually have purchased all of these, and they will be arriving at some point.
Not.
The first one we already have here. The other 2 I just purchased.
Preemptively bought one.
Preemptively bought one. So we have 3 items here. The deal is we found these online, and we're just gonna talk about them. So why don't we pop up number 1? Number 1, sober cards. Sober cards. The face of each card has a different motivational slogan to help keep you sober.
Can you read them, Gabe?
When you start to feel uncomfortable or anxious, that's where sober cards come in handy. Our deck of playing cards have quotes that serve as simple, inspirational reminders. With sober cards, recovery is possible.
Gamble with them.
Oh, Travis has them over there. He just opened them up. We got them. There they are.
I was thinking we got a little event this weekend, and we're definitely going to be gambling. I feel like I need these
There you
sober
go.
cards.
Are they actually cards? Like there's actually like all the cards, but they just have sayings on them. Nice.
Should we read some of them out or?
Yeah.
Why don't we read some here? Yeah. Pass
All
those
right,
over.
I'll read a couple of these.
All right, Gabe's gonna read them.
Say a card. You guys want to say a card?
No, just
Pick a random.
one.
All right. The 9 of Spades. Character is how we act when no one is watching.
See, how does that work when you're like, it's 1:30 in the morning and you're straight up
And pick
playing
another one.
poker with
Maybe
your
there's some
boys?
inspirational.
You know what I mean?
Don't be bitter, be better. The 9 of Clubs.
There you go. Don't be
Especially
bitter,
after
be
a
better.
bad beat. You know what I mean?
The King of Diamonds. What is the loving and giving action I can do right here and now in this situation? Wow.
I mean,
Go all in.
yeah.
All in, yep.
Look, I don't necessarily even know if you have to be
Jump.
playing poker with them. Maybe you just like cards and this is what you're using for motivation.
Go fish.
You're not even playing a game.
Come on,
Maybe you're
man.
just holding on to them.
Seriously. What are you saying?
Sober cards. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is also interesting. Recovery Encounter, the game. A card game about alcoholism and spiritual recovery. 1,000 questions about partying, hitting bottom, getting sober, and finding spirituality. Now, here's the best part. I'll explain the game a little bit. The player throws the dice. Another player reads the question corresponding to the dice face. And if the answer is correct, the player obtains points. Points are automatically added or deducted for a grace or denial roll. At the 250 point level, the player becomes a sponsor.
So hold on.
So confusing,
that's-
man.
Hold on.
That's one
So
way you could.
you expect people in AA who can barely comprehend the big book to understand this game?
Look,
It's not going to happen.
the game ends when all the players become sponsors.
Oh, I thought it was going to end when everyone relapses and one's left sober.
So basically, you play the game until everybody becomes sponsors. And when you're a sponsor, here we go. The game can continue with the sponsor giving subsequent points earned to the player with the lowest score. So you can lift people up when you're a sponsor in the game. What do you think?
I think
Is there no winners? Is everyone a winner in this game?
is
When you're
insane.
everybody who's a sponsor is a winner in this
Well, we're
game.
going to play, right? We're going to play.
We're gonna play.
Yeah.
Beth, what do you think?
I don't think so.
I
You
feel
don't
like
think so? This isn't not your thing. You're not gonna.
Though they may do this rather than read the big book. So
They might. You never
you're
know.
new.
Chris, what do you think? No,
it's a loser.
it's a loser. This is not a winner here.
It's a
Gabe,
loser.
you and your buddies gonna play this on a Friday night, Saturday
Dude,
night?
I don't know. I could see it happening. I used to do some game nights, so
Hey,
this one might have to make an appearance.
well, it's gonna be here at some point, so you'll be able to do it. Let's move on to number 3. The third and final item we
Something
found.
I've never
world's
gotten from
best
anyone I sponsor.
Sponsor
getting
mug. Sponsor gift. Love thine sponsor. Great gift for any 12-step program. Who doesn't need another coffee cup and doesn't it feel good to do something for somebody that helps
Let's ask
them
Beth.
feel
Beth,
good?
have you ever been gifted from your sponsees, but like a big book or something nice, like a nice chip?
A big book. I actually had one bound at my
Bound.
ex-husband.
Yeah.
It actually was really nice. Though it was the first 164 pages, and then the 12 and 12, and then the
Very
dictionary.
nice. Do you know what I've gotten?
Nothing.
Grief.
Just grief.
Just fucking grief and headaches.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of
And
that,
they're on
too.
this call, and they were on the call the last time we had this.
You all know what you have to get.
And
them
you
now.
still didn't get a gift.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nada.
Well,
Kiss.
Chris, you're in luck because I ordered 2 of the world best sponsors mugs.
I'm actually
One
going to
of
need
them.
one
It feels
because
weird
One of
coming
them's
from
for
someone
you,
else.
Chris. One of them's for you.
Because it's
I'm
not
gonna
real,
need
you
one.
know what I mean?
Gabe, why are you going to need one?
if you look at the chat here, I'm in very big trouble.
Oh, here we go.
Gabe,
Gabe, you're in
big
trouble, big
trouble,
my guy.
my
Ooh,
guy.
hey, watch out. This is what happens now that we have a Zoom
Going to make
meeting
you
with
an
actual
nightly
chat.
inventory in the next 30 days. And if you miss, you got to start over.
All right, so you got to pick one item off our list. Beth, sober cards, recovery encounter the game, or the world's best sponsor mug?
I think the mug.
The mug. You like the mug?
I like the mug.
Okay. Chris,
The cards, for sure.
the cards.
Yeah.
Gabe.
I kind of like all of them. Do I have to pick one?
Hey, you got to pick one.
Do I have
The
to
look
pick
on
one?
Travis's face with Gabe when he just said that, shaking
I like
his
all
head.
of them.
No, because you know what? You can play sober cards while hanging out, playing the recovery game, drinking coffee out of your world best sponsor mug. Right?
Woo.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Sounds like a fun night.
Dude, just think of all the
Sign
jokes
me
you can
up.
make in that game.
I
be a
will
good
say this.
time.
I personally like the sober cards the best because it's a little pack of cards. You can bring it around and, you know,
We're going to play with them this
Play Go
weekend, right?
Fish.
play go fish. You never know.
What did
need
you
some
all do with
motivation.
cards when you were new?
We played poker.
Spades. Poker and spades.
We played strip poker.
Well, I mean, you know, the times have changed a
Times
little bit.
They
Changed.
have. We would have the worst emotional hang up. Terrible.
Yeah.
Feel terrible the next day.
Yeah, no. I did that when I was drinking. We used to do that when you were drinking. But
We'd make a house of cards.
We would have people over at our house. We would have 10 tables set up with like 50 guys
Yeah.
doing tournaments. And then in the basement, they'd be throwing dice and playing craps. And I mean, you know, it was bad. I mean, you'd have like new guys there
Yeah.
spending their last $10, you know, gambling.
Yeah.
Like, we just did, you know,
gambling is
we just
it
didn't know
can
what
be
we were
tough.
doing.
No, but you weren't drinking.
Yeah,
We weren't
that's true.
drinking.
We weren't drinking. We weren't drinking, but we weren't working the steps really at that point either. But that's all right.
We
Fine,
could
fine.
have. That's what I'm saying. We could have used these cards. If we had those cards, we'd be like, "What are we doing?"
What is this? Yeah,
Yeah,
Gabe,
this
read
isn't
another
right.
card. What do you got?
Yeah,
You got a
give me
card
another
there?
Yeah.
Because you could be doing this instead. What does
Right
it say,
here.
Gabe?
You
Just
could do
whatever it is.
Instead of
The Ace
gambling
of Hearts.
degenerate.
The Ace of Hearts. You could be living and let live.
I don't really know about that. Because that was just an excuse for me. Like, hey man, live and let live. Why don't you stay out of my business? Let me do my thing. You know?
Don't let people rent space in your head.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Is
That's
there a
good one.
Joker card?
Is there a Joker card?
I mean, every deck of cards is a Joker, isn't there?
Everyone told me in treatment. Excuse me. Everyone told me in treatment. Idle hands are the devil's playground. Stay busy. Go to meetings and remember these quotes. My hope is these cards will inspire those of us in recovery and help keep us sober. Several years after having a spiritual awakening, I am still encouraged by these slogans. They are a big part of my recovery. Enjoy and carry the message.
okay.
Chris.
It's like a message from
Chris.
From Chris,
From
the
someone named
founder,
Chris.
the founder of Sober Cards.
The guy who's
Chris.
making money off AA. That guy
Chris, thank you for inventing Sober Cards.
wasn't me. Just putting it out there. Name is John.
All right.
When it matters.
That is enough. We are super grateful for all of you to join us here tonight. We thank Beth especially for
Thank
coming
you.
out.
Thank
You're
you
a great
all.
member. We're
It's
so
great.
glad
We could
that
talk for another hour.
Yeah,
fun.
you're here.
It
Thanks
really
for
was
sharing
fun.
your experience with us. We'll be back next week with episode 15, another great show. We've got a brand new guest who's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great new sketch of the week. So don't miss it.
Thank you.